All right, so we're here, and we're so excited to share about this build. And the reason why we're excited to share about this build is because this build is a little bit different from the previous builds that we did. And you will see later what it is.
You mentioned we're doing something new, and I'm pretty excited for you guys to see this because this is one of the builds I would say is the most feature-rich build.
So we're not building like a micro app anymore, right? I would say
Mhm.
because there's just so many things going on with this, and the thing that's driving the feature here is really the compliance side of things because now we're dealing with like the government, the actual business. Okay, all right. So without delay, let me share my screen here. All right, screen share, entire screen, and then here we go. Welcome to Contractor OS. And I really like this name, Contractor OS. It's like Contractor Operating System. And the reason why I like this, I'm realizing I'm getting better at naming things because before every time I name it, like I register a company or I register a domain, always like it's always bad. And then so I don't know if you have that experience. Like you select something and you feel like, no, this is like really, really cool. And then next thing you know, you feel like, why did I name it this way? And Contractor OS
Yeah.
is not one of those things, right? So this is for the business of contracting. Say for example, like you're maintaining a building, right? You're maintaining a building, and so you have like multiple employees, but sometimes you get like pesticide guys to come in, right? And they will do quarterly, twice a year, like inspection and work. And they are technically not your employees, they are subcontractors. And so our goal here is to be able to, track all these things, track, we call it work orders. And so the background of this is that Gideon and I, we started a similar business, and we thought like, you know what, because we're software engineers, we're technical people, let's build something. And to be fair, I did look into like existing software. I did look into QuickBooks, Odoo, and things like that. And I'm realizing that it takes multiple software to actually put together a system that will address our need. And this is something that's really, really cool because I believe that we are in an age wherein it's no longer the business who is subscribing to a software who will adjust to the software. It's now the other way around. I think because of the capability of AI, very fast development, it's now the business who can tell software developers or like agencies like myself and Gideon to say like, this is our process, can you build a software using this process, right? So before, I know like major, like big software, for example, let me just name a few. What's the software that I mentioned to you, Gideon? Man, like, yeah, let's say, I don't know, like there's a very big one, Salesforce, for example.
Salesforce. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, need some coffee here. But Salesforce, for example, is already a huge system and a really wonderful system. But most of the time, like depending on the scale of your business, you come into Salesforce and you will say this is our process, and sometimes you adjust to Salesforce because obviously they're not just catering to your business; they're catering to a lot of businesses. Okay, so this we're now in the day and age where we turn that around, right? Wherein we don't have to do that. We have a place. And by the way, Salesforce do have developers wherein you can request features for them and then they can modify it. Like, yeah. And I think that's very expensive, but a lot of people definitely can afford that, right? So now we're coming to a place wherein we can go to like any company and say, hey, what is your system? Tell us, educate us, and work with us as we build a software that's perfectly fit for your system, right? And this is
Mhm.
the story here because Gideon and I, we started like a similar business, and we asked ourselves like, what if we're gonna put together something that fits. And there's also another company that we're talking to. It's the same scenario. So the difference between like our previous build and this one is that in the previous build, we really don't have any feedback. So we're building something, and then we're hoping and we're looking for people to work on them. And time will come, we'll update you on them that we're definitely gonna gonna provide updates onto like who are the users, so what are the users feeling and everything. But in this particular case, we actually have users, so I can't show you their data, but I can show you what the app is all about. All right, so on my screen is the login page. Okay, so I'm logging in as app software. That's all right. There you go. So now it's setting up my workspace, right? So let's just do app software, and then it's doing the URL. Okay. And then I can say, let's just say I'm sole proprietorship, or let's do corporation, and there's going to be 25. You can also add, if you have a GST, HST number there. And once that's pretty much Canadian, like will be open. This will be open to like North America as well. Oh, what happened here?
I think there's a bug. You can change the URL for now.
Here?
And in the browser URL, just remove the
Set up. Oh, see, there's a bug, and that's fine. We'll fix that. So now what you have here is a Contractor OS. So let's say, for example, you're managing a whole building, or you're being brought in to manage or maintain a whole store, right? In terms of cleaning, and in terms of just really managing multiple clients, multiple stores, other subcontractors, and you have a workflow, right? So the workflow is the workflow is starts with like a work order, right? So you have here, if you go to work orders, you have simple as, like, say for example, like a work order here would be, let's just say, replace light bulb, right? And you're assigning that to employee. You can simply create a work order and then fill this out. There's a bunch of fields here, but really what you can do, depending on Contractor OS, can be tailored fit to your system. But it's just that for this specific business, you need a client number and store and description and opportunity value, and you can create that work order. Let's do a simple one here. So obviously we cannot create a work order without client. Let's create a client here. Let's just say client ABC, right? And the contact person is George RR, and then George. And so let's just say address would be somewhere in Florida. And then you add this client. So now once you have a client, you can add a location. Well, you don't have to. So now you can, client ABC is there. You can just say, let's say, replace or install cabinet. Unit 10010. And let's just say this is a request from a unit in one of the buildings that you're maintaining, and their budget is like 1,000. You can do US, right? And then they need it like next Saturday. So okay, you can, sorry. So just cabinet installation, you can create a work order. So now work order is created. It's now under backlog. Let's say, for example, if it's internal, then no issue. But let's say, for example, you need like other company to do that. So you need a subcontractor. So let's just say you add a subcontractor and you say John Smith, and John at smith.com. Let's just say number is 604 145 7890. And then it's Canada, or let's do US because we're in the United States. Payment method will be e-transfer. Let's just say John Smith. Okay, now that you've added a subcontractor, you can now assign this to a contractor. So you can assign one or more. And let's say the rate will be like 500 US, right? And there you go. So now you have opportunity value, the contractor cost is 500, right? And say, for example, now that you have assigned it, you talk to the contractor, a lot of these things happen in the background, and say, like, for example, it's now in progress, and say, for example, it's done, right? So and done, like cabinet installed, and installed to set 2-layer, I don't know, something, cabinet, unit 1. So now let's say you save that. So why is this important? Save, it might not make sense if you have one work order, but imagine a 3-story building, and then per floor you have 20 apartments, right? and each one of them have their own work orders, right? So you're um, easily gonna track this work orders by just looking at where they're at, right? And by the way, your swim lane, we call this swim lane right here. Your swim lane could be different. Your swim lane could be different every time. It could be you've assigned it, it's in progress, it's completed, and it's done. But sometimes you might need to do a return trip, or you might need to send an invoice to the owner, right? And the invoice amount is 1,000, right? So now, oops, yeah. So you have sent the invoice, right? And then here you can also generate the invoice. So client ABC is a target. That's and then you can say, oh, that's labor. You can also edit this, right? Let's say for example you just your labor is like 800, right? Oh, sorry, labor. So labor 800. Then you can do another one. Let's just say materials like 200. Nails. Okay, and then you can add that. So now you have a breakdown. So you can generate the invoice, and so the invoice is basically like a printable PDF. It has your name on it. Obviously we can do more in terms of like what a PDF looks like, but let's just say it's done. Then you can that's the invoice. That's what it looked like, right? And then you can send it to your client. Okay, so once, say for example, it's paid, it will ask for this is the client paying you, right? So bank transfer, where it's at. You can also record the payment here, right here. Say for example, you receive a check, right? And then vendor name ABC work order that, and then you get a check for 1,000, and then bank transfer or check. Let's do that, and then let's just say check 0001, and then you can upload an image of the check. This is optional here. Then you record payment. So now you have a payment, and then you have, yeah, you can just select payment method. What does it say there? Okay, that needs to be tied up. That's another thing that we need to. But anyway, so now you have been paid, and then you can close it. So, okay, so there's a bug. Oops, we'll take note of that bug. Okay, well, it does happen in the real world. And we'll fix it. But yeah,
So could you also talk about for the case where for those who have like assistants or other, just not just one.
yeah, that's a good question. So right now you've seen a demo. It's a really good question. You've seen a demo wherein I'm the only one doing it, right? Let's say for example I have an admin assistant, right? And so I can go to settings, and then I can actually load my team here, right? So say for example I'm just gonna go team. Let's just say accountant. Let's just say I want my accountant to get a hold of this that software. I can give that person, oops, like finance. So I can give that person this link, and then they can join. Once they sign in, they'll be able to join my team. And I can also do this, right? I can also do assistant at app.software, and then I can do admin support. It's called virtual assistant, but I can change that to assistant, right? And so I can also do the same thing here. So now you have two, they're just gonna have to accept that, and then they can view the team, they can view everything. So that's the cool part. The other thing here is there's an AI component to it. There you can generate insight. There isn't much really to analyze here because we only have one work order. But let's see what the AI is saying, because this also will also give us some guidance. So it says we have the successful initial revenue. We have one contractor, so it's telling us, build your contractor system. You have untapped market. You need more work orders essentially, and then you have consistent monthly revenue. You have lack of tracking expense. That's the other thing that we need. So, but the good thing here is it does tell you what's the what it thinks. Leverage top performers. So talk to John Smith, understanding capacities. So that's really key. And then you have business projection. So based on your performance, its annual revenue is 12K. So you have one, and then let's just say you have one work order per month, you'll get to it. So okay, over reliance on single contractor. They do, and then you have here, the top performing. So if you're paying, and then if you have an employee, you don't have to charge, but sometimes you want to put like a dollar value for
Mhm.
everybody, so you can also add your employee as subcontractor in that respect. But yeah, so a lot of these things. The other thing is, if you have a lot of subcontractors, we have a contractor portal. So in the contractor portal, it allows your contractors to log in, and then see if they have active jobs, and then they can update. You can update that. So let's just let's try it again with, we don't have to close this. So let's just say turn off the lights in the basement. Let's just say, and then you have ABC is still the guy. And then we have, let's just say that's $20 US, and then they need it next week. So if you go here and you let's say you assign it, right? Why is that being assigned? Because you need to add John Smith. John Smith's $10. Let's say if that's the case, if you go to the contractor portal, you can also see what they're saying. And for John Smith, they can actually come here and then they can mark it as in progress completed or returnship needed. They can put their findings here and upload photos, before and after photos. Quite neat. That gives you less and less, what do you call this? Management on the contractor side. On the expense side, you can create expenses and mileage. You can report those. I'm not going to go through this, but all expenses need to be tagged to a work order, and then mileage needs to be tagged to a work order as well. So say for example, I have one of your employees, they need to go and visit a client. They can create a mileage claim here. Okay, so you have payments, you have your payroll, then reports. So this is your report. You can create like tax summary from this. There's still a lot of things to do here, but yeah, there's still a lot of things to do here, but this is quite interesting in terms of like, how do you manage, like right now we're loading data from actual companies, and then we're also learning on how we will actually structure and organize the data. All right, Gideon, do you have any question?
Yeah. So I'm curious on the process that you went through in building this app. Maybe if you could tell us
Sure.
more about
Yeah.
it.
So I had a chance to study the system from a certain point of view. So I'm seeing like work orders, I'm seeing the flow, I'm seeing like employees being deployed, technical people being deployed, and things like that in the business that actually is using this. And I thought to myself, and that's where I've gotten like the insight in terms of what's needed in the business. But what's really, really interesting here is that because I have a level of understanding of what the business is, it allowed me to build the system much faster. And then obviously once they started inputting data, that's when I realized that I don't really know enough. And so, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing because, it allows like other people, and depending on their role, to tell me like what are their concerns, like what are they looking for, what is important to them, and just really putting that together. So it's my job to put things together and make sure that like the work order is feeding into like subcontractors, is feeding into expenses, is feeding into payments, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so that when I go through this, it made me realize like, what's really happening here is that like there are pages here, there are databases here, there are tables here that are not really talking to each other, and so they need to be linked up. And so yeah, the process was I was sitting on a certain role for few months, and then that's when I said to myself like, I think we're ready into how to be in building this. And I believe that this specific workflow is not even unique to this organization. I mean, I believe that this specific workflow is applicable to like similar businesses, similar verticals,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and one thought came to my mind is this could also be used by property managers, I think, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Like yeah. And obviously like when a property manager would come in, they probably have like a slightly different concern. And then the good thing
Yeah.
about this is we can take this and then just take that version and then update it for project managers. It's still the concept of we're keeping the records, and then like how does that record link to the bottom line and link to other things so that businesses can see their profit and loss quite easily. And then there's just with the issue with work orders is that if you do it manually, you can just lose some of the statuses. Like say for example,
Mhm.
like if you're managing like five work orders, sometimes you get focus on one that's like really an emergency, and then you lose like focus on the four other work orders. But here, because it's so visible, and that's the other principle here, like really visibility, it's so visible. Like what's the status of this one? Like it's still assigned, right? What's the
Mhm.
problem with this. Then if inside here, you can actually add comments, right? And say John is not ready, something like that. Or like you can add like history, right? You can add history. Is it adding the if it's not, like, forgive me, I didn't I didn't pay attention to comments, but I was just thinking, like, people can come in and like add comments in terms of where the status is. And so I can come in here and say, what's going on here? Okay, so it's already assigned, but is it
Mhm.
right? And we're getting, by the way, the principle here, Gideon is quite familiar with this because the principle here for this Kanban board is really stemming from, our experience with software development, right? Where every
Mhm.
work order is a task in our mind. Like, it's a task, and obviously a task you need to assign someone, and it's the same principle. And whether you're assigning someone that is part of the team or someone that's outside the team, like, every single thing needs to be here. And then the goal is to take that specific work order from left to right. So it's quite exciting. I'm very excited with the fact that I'm getting feedback from people who are directly using this, and who are, who wants to make this work as well, right? It's not only me who's trying to make this work, but it's them, because they understand the value of this software for their business.
So what was the most challenging part so far?
Yeah, it's quite challenging in a sense that, like what you mentioned, Gideon. You said that it's like the most, it has
Feature rich.
feature rich, right? Just keeping track of like how one feature connects to the next, because
Mhm.
sometimes Lovable understands that connection. Sometimes you have to explicitly say, whenever a work order moves from this state to this state, I want to make sure that it's logged in under expense, or it shows up under payments,
Mhm.
blah, blah, or payroll, whatever, and it's added in the report. So a lot of it is, in that level of like mentality. The other thing is, I have obviously an assumption at the very beginning, and then some of those assumptions are actually, I think, are going to be deleted. Like, opportunity cost was like one assumption. I realized while talking to the admin assistants, they were like, "Yeah, what is this?" And I'm like, "Well, that's valuable to me." I said, like, "Yeah, but how do you use that?" And I realized, like, you know what? Let's just get rid of it. And so
Mhm.
there's one of the things that it just adds to the confusion, and it doesn't really give so much value. And so it's very, very important to really understand that, because if you don't know what you want, right, the tendency is for people to, for you and me, say for example, if you're using Replit or Lovable, because Lovable and Replit, they do provide suggestion on what to build next,
Mhm.
that. And then for you, if you don't know what exactly the output that you want, their tendency is to just agree on it, and next thing you know, you spent so much credits, and then you have a software that's very confusing. It's not delivering this one thing that you want, that you think has high value to the customer. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these things here, say for example, ask AI, like that. I've been tested this, but I just thought, like, what if I have questions, right? I need
Mhm.
someone to guide me, and
Yeah.
maybe that's useful. I think that's useful personally. Like, people who are new should be asking AI, like, where do I put this? What do you mean if I move to assign and coded, right? It should tell you.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I can say that this is the most complex app we've built so far.
I've encountered so much more frustration with Finn compared to this. And the reason why, and it's kind of tangent to what you said, right? The reason
Mhm.
why I didn't encounter so much more frustration with this is because, one, I have some knowledge of the system. Two, I actually have people who are testing it right now, who are like
Mhm.
putting real data, and that's visible to me, and that's valuable to me. Validation in some way, is able to keep me sane in the process, as opposed to Finn. I, I'm as passionate as Finn compared to this. I was just talking to an accountant. I brag about Finn, brag about
Mhm.
this, and she was like, "Oh, really? I want to see that." Right? So I'm excited for both, but I think with Finn, it's I feel like it's quite a new concept. I mean, I don't know. Like, I know we talk about like what Finn is for, and I know this is not about for Finn, right? But I'm just like, I'm so passionate about Finn that I always talk about Finn. But it's quite a new concept. That's what all I can say. Maybe I'm not exposed to a lot of budgeting tools, because Finn is not a budgeting tool, but we kind of have a good understanding of what it is. But we haven't seen anything like that before. With this, it's still linear. It's complicated because it deals like with accounting. Right now, you can already use it to manage your work order, to track your expenses, to track your payments, to track your it can do so much. But I will tell you, like I just talked to the other company that's using this, and she said like, yeah, we haven't been. I feel like we haven't fully used the software, right? And she meant to say that I still have so much things I would like it to do. As a contractor themselves, she was saying I really need it to work this way, and that's good. That's good. This morning when I woke up, I have, I don't know, top of my head, like six, maybe seven feature requests. And so I spent the hour implementing it. And
Mhm.
and the more I implement it, the more I realize like I have to keep it together. I have to make sure that they keep it together. The feature is kept together in such a way that they're actually talking to each other, and they're not like small apps that does their own thing that doesn't really talk to each other.
So I think from what you just said, it shows that with this one, with the Contractor OS, you have a clear understanding, right, of what you want and what the app should do. And then it's also amazing to see that Lovable is able to, like, I mean, compared to I was using it last year, a year ago, where when you add a feature, there were some instances where it breaks the other features.
It's getting better. I don't have an actual proof that it's getting better, but while I'm using it, I feel like it's getting better. It's getting a good understanding of, like when I asked it to create a Kanban board, it created a generic Kanban board, which is good, but it looks good. Like the colors here, I don't have to tell Lovable like, hey, first one would be gray, second one would be yellow. It just like generated something. I thought like that actually really looks good. And then it created like a search bar. I didn't request a search bar. And then a client list. So to me, the filtering is already implied. And so sort of it's trying to add to your idea, which is good. Not every time, but it's good.
And I like the color scheme too.
Yeah, yeah.
Where
I think
did you tell it or it
yes.
was not part of the prompt?
I think so. I think it's not part of the prompt. I was experimenting on different color scheme. I'm trying to think if it was Gemini who did that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know at this point. It's like we're one now. One with AI.
So was there any other funny feedbacks or interesting feedbacks that we got from
Uh,
our actual users?
yeah, you know what? There was a it was not interesting or what, but it just really bothered me for a little bit. And you probably experienced it when I sent it to you. There was a problem with like just setting up the users because one, and maybe it's my fault because I also told it to make sure that there's no other user that will be able to create an account because I don't want this to be out there and then
Mhm.
a lot of people will create an account here. And the reason primary because obviously we're still testing it, we're still building on top of it, we're still modifying it, right? I don't want people to come here and learn it. They're confused, right? And so when I sent out the registration links to everybody that's involved, like I did spend a bit of time to just fix some of the like access problem. The other thing though is that there are scenarios wherein you're the owner, you're also like you're involved in other companies, right? So if you have multiple companies, you have like a drop down that you can use and it will switch apps for you, which is handy. Yeah. So and I realized that just because of the use case, and I don't want to log in and log out. I decided like, you know what, because I'm dealing with multiple companies now, I should have different roles in this company and the other company, and so I should be able to switch like seamlessly. It's not in the original requirement, but I added that for my convenience.
Subject, very nice.
Right. Yeah. Um. So what will happen is that in the next maybe 3-4 weeks, we'll see more people who will be using this, and then I don't know. Like part of me is tempted to like cold call a local Canadian company and say, "Hey, would you like to give a Contractor OS a try?" Right? And if they'll like it, I hope they'll like it. Or they can just give us feedback of like, hey, this is not how we work. And they will tell me, okay, so can you tell me how you actually work? And then they will, and then we'll have a conversation. And it's like I can port that to whatever you're doing, right? And and then we then get paid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Any other question?
I think he answered. I was about to ask you the next steps, and I think
Yeah,
he
I think
that's the next.
that's the next step. Obviously, the UI. You know what? I can go here, by the way, and I created a landing page. If you go to contractor back office app, you can see a very small, like a short landing page. Yeah, it's the good. That's the good thing about this. Like, you can we can request an early access. It's not working now. There. So we can request an early access. What we would like to do is, get as much feedback as we can and see if this is. I'm realizing that it says here that CRA and IRS ready. I realized that while this system does that, I think the higher value is really organization for contractors, and it's just a perk that once you're organized, you are CRA and IRS ready.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'm definitely something that other companies can explore. Contractor OS. Okay, so I hope you enjoy that. And I was I was thinking, like, one of the things that we want to do is to actually build something on the spot, right? And we're not gonna do that because we're running out of time. But um, just really some maybe I can provide some updates, Gideon, in terms of like where we're at with the apps that we've given birth to.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is something that's kind of, I would say, doubled as like a commitment, right? So we've built Fill My Share, we built Excel Revenue Coach, we're still building Fin, and then Contractor OS is still being built. So a lot of kind of whip here, except for the first two. The first two, I do believe after working on this, I do believe that I need to revisit the revenue coach. It has to do some sort of a minimum, but I think what we need to do as far as next step is concerned is to be able to get some users with Fin, for example. Once it comes to a place where Gideon will fix the bugs and it also do what we wanted to do, like just a bare minimum of it, that we will ask people to sign up on Fin and finally just launch it. Fin is quite exciting, and then same with Contractor OS. I think just part of me, I'll be very very blunt, very very transparent here. Part of me is scared of building more apps because a lot of them are they don't have users yet, and so
Mhm.
part of me is scared of like building another one and there's no user. So I think that's part of the process now, part of me growing up, because really we're no longer developers, programmers for hire. We're really birthing businesses, and so true to that
Mhm.
process, we're gonna get users, we're gonna get some money.
Yeah. Same for me. We do have like a couple of app ideas, but I'm holding myself on building them because otherwise it's fun to build, it's fun to create, but yeah, at the end of the day, we need to sell the apps that we build. And
We need money.
yeah, and yeah, I just reminded of there was a proverb, I can't quote where exactly, but it says, "Blessed is the one who sells his grain" or something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Let me check
let
GPT.
me let me look it up.
Blessed is the one who sells. I think, yeah.
Yeah,
Of course, the people who are cursed, the hoarder of grain, but blessed is the one who sells in times of need. Is that what you're
yeah.
saying?
So yeah, that's the one. So the apps that we build, it solves a problem, right? And for sure, there are people out there that's waiting on that app to reach them and would be happy to use it. And that's what I felt like it's something for myself as well to grow, just like you, to just start selling.
Yeah. Really, what it looks like is just you and me sitting down, right? And just like, hey, let's do 1 hour of like outreach and just like get people to
Yeah.
use it, right? Because you remember the 70% rule. Like, if your
Hmm.
app is 70% good, launch it. Yeah, I think we're in there. We're already in
Hmm.
there. Revenue coach, I realize it's still far from what I thought it would be. And the reason why is it can't even read like the PDF and like the things that
Mm.
that's at the moment. And that's when I realized, like, oh my goodness, Fin is so complicated. And then I was just brushing it over when I was like demonstrating the revenue coach. That's where a lot of people can get help. But using Fin is gonna be very helpful. I was talking to like my accountant today, and she described to me a workflow where she said like, if you can only do this, it's so easy to audit. Just go through your bank statements and then tag them. And I was like, you know what, Finn can do that in minutes. It's just a
Hmm.
Finn. I was like, it's the app that we built. It's like, oh really? I'd like to see that. So I said like, yeah, because you said like, yeah, you can just fit it like a month worth of, and you can do 12 months and it will tag. But yeah, I think it will tag the transactions. But yeah, I think that's what we need. Just really dig deeper into getting users and getting feedback and getting sale.
Hmm. Yeah.
Because if without a sale, we don't have a business, right?
Yes.
We're just scientists. We're just like playing around, and yeah, obviously like everything, time and material, time material costs us money, and so we need to be good stewards into like doing this. All right, so yeah, I think that's it in terms of like Contractor OS. And the good thing about Contractor OS is, yeah, being used by at least these two companies, I would say it's worth doing. There
Hmm.
thousands, hundreds of thousands of similar companies out there that can use
Yeah.
this. You would say, you know what, this is like so good. For sure. Uh, we can start marketing that. All right. With that, Gideon, anything else that you like to share before we go?
No, I'm all good.
Awesome. Thank you guys for watching. And then it's always been a pleasure to create practical, usable software and birthing ideas into products and eventually selling these products into profitable businesses. And so this is our journey. We're babies in the game, and it's a good thing to be babies, but it's
Yeah.
also like it sucks.
Yeah. But we're getting better and we're learning
Definitely. We're
lots of things.
we're so much getting better. And I thank you so much for watching us and joining us in this journey here at growthmafia.tv. And with that, goodbye for now. This is Joe
And Gideon,
saying goodbye and see you in the next build.
see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.